with the remaining
Banker
yellows.
pay surges for those willing to work in Saudi Arabia. According to Bloomberg, banking jobs remain plentiful and salaries are surging in one expected corner of the world, not to us, but to many, Saudi Arabia. Quote, it's a pay boom driven by the expansionist zeal of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who is flush with cash from oil sales and determined to make the economy a financial powerhouse. But on the ground, hiring is proving to be a challenge. Still, recruiter Hayes PLC estimates that most banking professionals in Saudi Arabia can earn roughly 20% more than their counterparts in Western financial centers.
This was a good article. This was Bloomberg, and they it was useful because they looked at all sides of it. And it's reflective of a lot of things in Saudi Arabia. You have they're endeavoring to make a compelling economic and commercial argument for you to come. And absolutely, you have finance and banking companies are flocking to the kingdom because this is where deals are being made. This is where money's being spent. Mega projects, significant investment underway by the government in the context of a global downturn or a more stagnant global economy. So there's a lot of people coming, but this is, but that means people have to come, and there are folks that'll take that 20 to 30% premium to be there. And there are other folks who say, I don't want to be there because the quality of life isn't where I want it to be. And it isn't necessarily about conservatism or that sort of thing, but it is about, opportunities for kids, entertainment opportunities, these things that they feel maybe aren't on a par with Dubai or Europe or elsewhere. So, and this is the challenge that Saudi Arabia faces, and this is a challenge that it talks about a lot and is devoting a lot of energy and focus to, which is improving the quality of life across the board. But this article I thought was good because it talked about, okay, here's a commercial proposition. Plenty of people are taking it, although there aren't enough Saudis really that are have the skills commensurate and necessary to fill all these spots. But plenty of people are taking the commercial opportunity, but also plenty of people are declining it because, in their opinion, Saudi Arabia is just not there for their personal needs yet.
Yeah, but they're working on it. I mean, it's
100%.
like yeah.
That's offered. Sorry to interrupt. That's offered in the context of the jaw-dropping change that's occurred in the last 7 to 8 years. I mean, the point is not we're not talking about a bare and desert. We're talking about real changes in Saudi Arabia, but even so, it's still got a ways to go for some people.
Mm-hmm.
And for some people it may never get there. I mean, there's some people who have to have alcohol in their lives. You're not going to go to Saudi Arabia right now if that's the case.
Yeah, or people that don't want to live in a place where it's 100 degrees every single day. I mean, bankers are going to spend most of that inside, so it shouldn't matter too much. 20% more to live and work in Saudi Arabia seems like it's kind of the right number, but obviously this article says it's a little bit low. But yeah, I mean, this is just interesting because it brings up, well, go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry. No, that's good.
Well, I was just going to say, this sort of brings up the concept of like the question, and I sent this out to a smaller group of my friends that is all in finance. And I said, hey, like, what do you think about this? And all it does is raise the question of what's it going to take to get you to move to Saudi Arabia? And so, you get a lot of hyperbole and BS on that. But essentially, a lot of them were saying, yeah, I mean, I would rather move there than move here. So you're sort of like, oh, well, interesting. I'd think about it for a little bit more money. There's a Cipriani in Riyadh, so I could eat there every night. I mean, there's like, it makes it sort of a question. And so obviously they're having trouble recruiting people to do it. And they're having even more trouble recruiting locals to fill the roles that are just frankly above their capabilities. But, what would it take is essentially the question to move there. And so I don't know. This is just an interesting piece and kind of interesting to think about.
And that's the important thing to take away from this conversation. The delta between what would it take and the quality of life required is narrowing considerably because of what's being done in Saudi Arabia and the reforms and the relaxation of a lot of things. it's just for some people that delta is still too great, but it's narrowing, and that's the whole point of Vision 2030, and so much of what they're trying to do is the direction in which you're headed. The fact that you're not there is a reality for every country in the world, but it's certainly the direction they're headed.
Yeah, I mean, that's really well said. For me, the answer is, I don't know, because I want my kids to be American and I really like our lives in America. I think it's great, but I really like visiting Saudi Arabia. So it's, it's somewhere right in the middle, but I don't know. I feel like, Richard, we should have a 2x on our salary living here January to March, because it just really sucks here January to March. It's so cold and it's always wet. It's dark all the time. And then you go to Saudi Arabia in January and it's 80 degrees. It's perfect and sunny and dry. So, it's just like anything else, but this is interesting combo.